Hi my friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm back from my break and today I want to share with you 10 frugal habits that save me thousands every year and that I will always keep doing no matter what. As a minimalist, I think certain frugal habits come quite naturally to me, but for me, frugality isn't about cutting out all joy out of life and living in deprivation and never buying anything for yourself that you don't technically need or never treating yourself to a meal at a restaurant. There are definitely things that I do with my money sometimes that aren't technically frugal. So it's more about being intentional with your money, making smart choices, and building habits that actually make life easier and more fulfilling in my experience, while also keeping your spending in check. So we're going to be talking about lots of things today, from meal planning and how I get my groceries to mindsets and more. So these are the real practical things that I do every day, every week, every month to keep my spending low and my savings growing. So as always, feel free to grab yourself something nice to drink if you want and join me. And let's talk about it. I'm so happy to be back. The first habit that I've been doing for many years now and that I will definitely always keep up no matter what is making sure that I'm using up everything of a certain thing before buying more. And while that sounds like a real no-brainer, it's actually super easy in our society not to do this. Like, it's very common to buy a few books occasionally, even if you still have books that you haven't read yet. It's common to buy a new makeup item or a skincare item, even if you still have things of that category that you haven't used up yet. We live in a society where over-consuming is very much normalized. We are always being taught not to first think about if we still have something that we can use, and instead to go out and look for something new to buy or something new to add to our life. And the old thing that we still had just kind of gets forgotten about. So I try to do this with as many things as I can. For example, I am an avid reader, but I will only buy new ebooks once I've finished every single ebook that's on my e-reader. I do this with video games too. If there's a new video game coming out that I'm interested in, I will first play all the other ones that I still had lying around, and by the time I've finished them all and I'm ready to get to the next one, it'll already usually have decreased in price for a while. So it's cheaper that way too. And because this is how I approach my hobbies, things like reading and playing video games are actually quite affordable hobbies for me. They never result in spending a large amount of money. You can do this with so many things. Think about your pantry items, doing a use it up challenge every once in a while for using up all the half-empty boxes of pasta and canned goods and freezer items. I also do this with tea sometimes, where I make myself use up every single tea bag and loose leaf tea that I still have in the house before I'm allowed to get new ones. Also think about Project Pan, that is really trendy right now, which is a challenge that is focused up on using up all your makeup and skincare items and like hitting pan on them before you're allowed to get new ones. Using your phone for as long as possible before replacing it. For me, like, the list is endless, and this is more like a mindset and a habit rather than a one-time challenge here or there. Not only does this save money, but it also prevents waste by having to throw out things that have gone bad or that you don't like anymore. So it's better for the environment too. And another great benefit of this is that it prevents clutter, and it helps to keep your life simple and not overly complicated. Because, like, think about it. Would you rather have 2 or 3 books that you haven't gotten around to reading yet and then going out maybe getting 2 or 3 more, or having this like huge bookshelf filled with tens or even hundreds of books that you haven't gotten around to yet? Like, that's stressful. So living this way not only saves me money and space, but also head space and stress. So next time you want to buy something new, then you can ask yourself if you still have something lying around that you can use up first before buying something else. Number 2 is the think first, buy second mentality. So this is opposed to the buy first mentality. With the world that we live in, where consumerism is always being promoted everywhere and we're always being pushed new products, this mentality is a true game changer. Online shopping is only a click away. It is so easy, and the internet is always showing us these new like must-have items. So it's really easy to fall into the buy first mentality trap, where you react to every want, inconvenience, or marketing message with an immediate purchase. And companies are making that easier and easier with one-click shopping and super fast deliveries. Like, they don't want you to think about it. They want you to instantly react to whatever is happening in your life by buying something to get that instant gratification. So what I mean by think first, buy second mentality is just taking a few moments to ask yourself some very simple but very important questions first. Do I really need this? And if this is a want and not a need, is this something that I see myself liking and using for a long time? Do I already own something else that serves a similar purpose? Do I have space for this thing in my home, and where will I keep it when I'm not using it? And of course, can I realistically afford this, and what are the long-term costs, not just the initial price tag? Back when I first started working like a real grown-up job, but I was still living with my parents at the time, I kind of fell into this buy first trap for a little while because, you know, my living expenses were very low, but I was making a salary, so I had more discretionary income. But I quickly saw that not only was I wasting my hard-earned money on things I didn't need, I was also creating more clutter, more stress. And the things that I was buying were not making me any happier at all. And later, when we started living in our first apartment together, we for a while had to follow like a really strict budget and make sure that we were really careful about how we spent our money in order to be able to pay the bills. I really saw that the think first, buy second mentality is so important, not just to prevent wasting your money, but also to be able to be just content and grateful for all the things that you already have. So I'm thinking of maybe putting together a little spreadsheet with the like minimalism / frugal questions that I always ask myself before I make any kind of purchase, as kind of like a downloadable PDF kind of thing. So I'm curious if that is something that you are all interested in. Please let me know in the comments, because I could put that together. Another frugal habit that's been a true game changer for me is not shopping anymore, just to browse. So this is what I used to do all the time. I would go into the store or check a online clothing website, whatever, just to see what they have. Basically, you cannot want something if you don't know it exists. And if you don't know it exists, then you won't have to waste energy resisting the temptation to buy it because you didn't see it in the first place. This mindset has helped me to avoid so many impulse purchases, because impulse purchases happen not when we actually need something, but when we see something unexpected and we kind of get caught up in the moment and we can't resist the temptation and then we buy it. And stores and shopping apps are designed to do exactly that. So if we don't go in the store just to browse, or we don't open the app or go on the website, then we won't give them a chance to show us something to want to buy. So as part of this habit, I have removed as many like sources of temptation as possible. So I don't have any shopping apps installed on my phone, none. I don't get any newsletters sent to me promoting products that I don't need. I don't follow any like content or influencers that shop a lot or do like haul videos or mystery box videos or those kinds of like what's new at IKEA videos. These are really tempting for me, so I try to avoid those. So it's not about like cutting out all joy and never buying anything new ever. It's more about reducing the exposure, because you know, no matter how minimal and mindful we are, if we are exposed to the same thing over and over and over again, it's only a matter of time before we kind of start wanting that thing. So when I do need something, I can approach it from there, deciding what I need first and then go shopping for it instead of the other way around. The next one is really practical, and it is not paying for pre-cut fruits and vegetables in the supermarket. But this can also be something bigger, like not paying extra for convenience when it's not something that I really like need or benefit from. Now here's something that I probably should have said earlier in the video, but we are all different. So if you do some of these things that I'm talking about, like that's fine. We're all different. We all lead different lives. We have different priorities. So I can definitely see valid reasons for why purchasing pre-cut fruits and veg can be a good idea. For example, if you're really busy and this just helps to make home cooking a bit more feasible, or maybe for people with disabilities or limited hand dexterity can be a really good option. So I'm not saying that not buying pre-cut fruits and veg is veg. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna let that in. Fruits and vegetables is always a bad idea, but it is about context. For me personally, I try to avoid them because I do have the time and the ability to peel and cut my fruits and vegetables myself, and that is just a big money saver. Usually with the pre-cut things, they are like 1.5 to 2 times, sometimes even more times more expensive than the uncut versions. And as someone who eats a lot of fruits and vegetables, this can really add up. And also, this isn't always true, but I often find that they are kind of like a little bit drier, or like, I don't know, they feel different to me. So when it comes to convenience, sometimes I don't mind paying a little bit extra for that, and other times I do. It's really about the context and what makes sense for you personally, for your lifestyle. So what's important is not to spend money on convenience just out of habit when it's not actually worth it to you. Another good example can be paying for takeout or like delivery food, which is often like 3-4 times more expensive than cooking something for yourself, and even like at least twice as expensive probably as buying like a ready-made meal at the supermarket if you don't want to cook. Number 5 is meal planning and going shopping accordingly. Groceries are one of the biggest recurring monthly expenses for most households, and because it takes up such a big part of our monthly budget, it's also one of the best areas to look into if you want to try and cut back on spending. One habit that we've been doing for years, and it has made a really big difference, is planning our meals ahead of time. So this has become second nature to us. It's a simple routine that helps us to save some money, prevent food waste, and make sure that we are eating mostly balanced meals with a good variety of ingredients. We live in the Netherlands, and it's normal here to go grocery shopping around like 2 to 4 times a week because we live and work near where the supermarkets are, so it's easy and convenient to just go in and out quickly. And even though it is tempting to just pop in and get a few things, I make it a point never to go to the grocery store without a plan. So here's how we do it. Every couple days we sit down and we just quickly decide what we want to be eating for our meals for the next like 3-4 days. And this is based on just what we're in the mood for, also what we still have in the kitchen that we want to use up, and which ingredients are on sale in the supermarket that week. After deciding, we make a list and we only put the things on there that are needed for those specific meals and a few essential staples. I always allow myself a little bit of flexibility, so I'm allowed to get 2 things in the supermarket that weren't on the list. Usually it's like a fun new vegan product that I want to try or something. But other than that, I stick to the list. This habit of planning ahead and shopping intentionally with a list just helps us to prevent making impulse purchases in the supermarket and buy things that we don't need or that we don't want to be buying, or maybe even having to throw stuff out, which I really hate doing. So meal planning is just a small effort that really adds up in the grocery savings, and also it makes sure that you're not like cooking away and then all of a sudden you realize you're missing an ingredient and someone has to rush to the grocery store to get it, because you've already planned it out, so you have everything you need. Another frugal habit that I will always keep doing, and this is more about mindset, is not equating stuff or gifts with love or happiness. This is based on something that I have seen online, especially in the last like 1 or 2 years a lot. Maybe this has been around longer, I don't know, I'm not really like online much, so maybe I missed it, but I'm talking about the themed gift baskets. So these are curated baskets filled with items, goodies, snacks, treats to give to someone or to treat yourself. And they're usually seasonal, so I'm talking Valentine's Day baskets, Easter baskets, boo baskets for Halloween, burr baskets for November, Christmas baskets. Like, these are small or sometimes crazy large baskets filled with all kinds of little things, all kind of like trinkets and items and snacks and things. And they're usually centered around a theme, so they're made to look like aesthetic, and they're all themed, like a themed spring Stanley Cup, and then it's a Christmas Stanley Cup. You know, it's all like curated and social media worthy. And while gift baskets aren't anything new, of course, what really feels different to me now is how over the top these baskets can get, because they often total up to like hundreds of dollars worth of items that in most cases no one really needs, and they are often presented as something that you should give to your kids or to your partner or buy for yourself in the name of self-care. And I think these baskets are a good example of how online content has normalized overconsumption and how we are being pushed to equate caring with buying something and spending with treating yourself or happiness. So one of the mindsets that I like to hold on to is that we don't have to spend money or buy things to show someone that we care or to, give a little love to ourselves. We don't have to buy another color Stanley Cup or another themed mug or bath bomb or whatever to show that we care. I just think that there are other things that we can focus on to create happiness and fulfillment and joy, or to express our love to others that don't involve necessarily spending a lot of money. Like spending quality time together, or listening to someone when they're feeling down, giving them your full attention, handwritten notes, cooking someone a meal, just being there for someone. And also self-care can be free. It doesn't have to involve you buying hundreds of dollars worth of self-care products. The next frugal habit that I will always keep up no matter what is trying to make sure I'm not paying full price for groceries when I can avoid it. And this is something that I really try my best to be strategic about and not be, as we say here in the Netherlands, a thief of my own wallet. So whenever I can, I try to stock up on things when they're on sale, especially for items that we use regularly and that won't go bad for a while. And this way I'm making sure that I won't have to pay full price for something because I've run out and it happens to not be on sale during that time. So especially if I can get an item for a buy one, get one free kind of deal, I'm basically cutting those costs of those items in half. And we have many things here that we basically never buy unless they are buy one get one free. So I'm basically only paying half for these. For example, when toilet paper goes on sale or when our soy milk goes on sale, we try to buy a bunch of them because it cuts the costs down in half. And these things have a really long expiration date, so we can just store them until we need them. To make this work, I'm subscribed to a small number of newsletters from the stores that I like to go to so that I can keep track on what's on sale every week. And if there's a brand or a product that I happen to like or happen to use, then I can take advantage of the sale when it's there. That said, there are two very important rules to make sure that this habit actually stays smart and helpful. The first is making sure that you're not buying so many of them that they will expire before you have normally used them up. So it's not actually saving if you're buying things that you then have to throw away later because they've gone bad. And keep in mind that things like skincare and makeup also have expiration dates. Or if you have to use them up much more quickly than you normally would in order to avoid having to throw them out. And two, make sure that you're buying items that you would have bought anyway and not items just because they're on sale. Because you're not saving money if you buy something that you weren't planning on buying anyway. Even if it is half off, it's still more money that you're spending on something that you didn't want or need. So there's a big difference between buying something when it's on sale and buying something because it's on sale. And something else that I try to keep in mind is that name brands are usually much more expensive than the store brands, and this is something I keep in mind as well because in many cases they are about the same, or sometimes I even like the store brand version better. So there are a few things that I prefer the name brand version of, but if you can buy store brand for something, that's just a huge money saver. Number 8 is a saving mindset. Another core frugal habit that I will always keep doing is having a saving mindset and setting up automatic savings first, not last. So right after I get paid, I have it set up so that automatically a certain amount of money will go into my savings instead of waiting until the end of the month to see however much you have left over, because we all know that that will probably be significantly less because it's hard to keep that in mind for the whole month. So this just removes the temptation for me to spend that money elsewhere because it's just not available. It's not like it's only been on my bank account for an hour or something, and then it goes away again. And this habit also gives me peace of mind when I do spend money because I know that I've already prioritized saving. So in my life, whether I was making minimum wage or when I was making a higher salary, when I was a project manager in the past, I always made sure to save at least something. And even smaller amounts do add up over time. This has really been my experience, so never underestimate the value of saving a small amount of money consistently over a long period of time. And this is a habit that was built into me from a young age because my family didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, so my parents were living very much paycheck to paycheck. So if I wanted something, I had to save for it myself. And as an adult, I'm really grateful for that because it has really put that saving mindset into me as a very natural thing. Number 9 is watching my subscriptions and recurring monthly expenses very, very closely. Recurring expenses like subscriptions can be a real like silent killer to your bank account, because it's like $7 a month here, $12 a month there, $15 a month here. And it really adds up, and it's easy to sign up for these things because maybe there was something on there that you wanted and then just kind of forget about them. And before you know it, you're paying for 5 subscriptions all at once, and maybe you only use like 1 or 2 of them. What I will do when it comes to like streaming subscriptions and things like that is I will sign up for it. If there's something on there that I want to watch, I watch it and I cancel it again immediately. And sometimes I even cancel it like right after signing up, because I know for sure that I will have watched the whole thing within a month. And if in the future I see something else on there that I might want to watch, then I can always start it up again. They make that really easy. So I just don't pay for those months in between when I'm actually not using it. And because of that, it is rare that we're paying for more than one kind of like TV and movie streaming service thing at once. So regularly check your monthly charges and cancel things that you're not using enough. Or you can also check to see if the things that you are using have kind of like a family plan or something. That is what we did with Duolingo. Back when we were paying for our Duolingo subscription, we went on a family plan, and I think it normally would have cost me like $90 a year or euros. And because of the family plan, I only spent 30 on it. So that is a huge saver. We've canceled that again, by the way, in the meantime. But yeah, it was a lot cheaper because of the family plan. So check to see if there are options for the ones that you do use. And because I'm keeping track of these things so carefully, I have never once had a charge on my bank account from some kind of subscription that I kind of forgot that I even had. And that is a very nice feeling. And the last frugal habit I want to talk about today is always evaluating my normal and reconsidering what I consider to be normal spending, and making sure that it stays realistic, modest, and in line with my values. In my life, I have both had times where I kind of struggled a little bit financially, and I really had to make sure to budget very carefully and plan out everything. And also times when we made more than we needed and we were able to save a little bit more and do some more fun things. So I think it is normal when our income goes up that our spending changes a little bit with it. Like we may enjoy buying a fancy matcha every once in a while, or go on a little trip occasionally if we can afford it. So I think those things are fine. But what we want to really avoid is actual lifestyle creep, when what we consider to be normal spending is actually kind of like fancy spending, but then you do it all the time. For example, I enjoy trying out a new vegan cheese every once in a while, but those things can get really pricey. So it's not something that I buy with my weekly groceries. And also they have like fancy vegan cheeses that are like €5 for like a good chunk of it. And then they also have the tiny ones that are like much less, and they're €10. It's like so much more expensive. So I try to keep those things in mind and go for like the more reasonable options. I think it is possible to kind of get used to the fancier things and start to consider them normal. And when you do that, your like lifestyle becomes so much more expensive to keep up. So I like to keep that in mind and keep my standard living costs low, or as low as I can, and live below my means when possible. For example, when we bought this apartment, I mean, all housing is crazy expensive. So I'm not saying that this apartment was cheap, because it wasn't. But we did decide to go for like a small apartment in an older flat in a, not like in the city center, to keep the costs down and not go for like the max mortgage that we could possibly afford, because I saw those monthly payments and honestly they scared me. Like I would have so much stress if I had to keep those up every month. So these are conscious choices that we made so that we have just a little bit more breathing room, and that is a huge stress reliever. So if you can keep your baseline costs as low as possible, it will just give you a bit more flexibility, more breathing room, more freedom, less stress, and more space to maybe save some money or spend it on things that truly matter to you. So that's it for today's video, the 10 frugal habits that I will always keep up and that save me thousands every year. I hope this list gave you some inspiration for your own journey when it comes to money, simple living, and intentional living. I would love to know in the comments which of these habits are you already doing and which of them maybe you heard a little reminder today that you think like, oh yeah, I could definitely improve and work on that. I would love to know in the comments, and also feel free to let me know if you're interested in that downloadable PDF with the questions that I always ask myself before making a purchase. A big, huge thank you to everyone who's still here at the end of the video. I really appreciate it, and that actually really helps to support the channel if you watch the video all the way through, so I'm really happy you're still here. And I want to especially thank my patrons because I had a little break. I took a month off and they were still there. They still support me and my work and my channel, and I can't thank you enough. I'm so happy to be back though. I mean, I had a wonderful month off. We did so many like fun things, but mostly I just took it really easy at home. I read a lot, I baked a lot of bread, I just walked around a lot. It was really, really nice. But I'm happy to be back because I did miss you and I'm having a lot of fun again today. So thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to join the Simple Happy Zen Patreon community too, then you can do that. I will leave the link in the description box. If you sign up, you will get access to more than 120 videos that are already up on there, plus 2 new ones every month. And it's a great way to support the channel and get some extra content from me. So it's a win-win. Yeah, link in the description box. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a wonderful day and thank you so much for being here. I will see you again really soon. Bye bye. I was actually a little nervous to start filming again today. It's been so long because I took that month off, but of course for the last video that I posted, I filmed that like a week before, so I haven't filmed a video in like 5 weeks and I was actually a little nervous, but yeah, it's fun.